coronation is just not a lot of mystical ritual. It's the fundamental compact between the king and his people. It's a contract, and it's the reason that we're governed well, governed properly, and that we are, let's end on this word, you're an American, a royal republic.
Prince Harry has finally confirmed that he will attend the King's coronation next month, but without his wife Meghan and children Archie and Lilibet. This latest coronation drama adds to a long list of problems related to the ceremony, including claims that the firm is going too far to appeal to Harry and Meghan's woke base. So John Elliott Gardner, who will conduct the Monteverdi choir, admitted his surprise in an interview with The Times at the number of diversity boxes the King felt he had to tick when deciding on the ceremony's music. And it comes as the monarch backed an independent study into the royal family's links to the Atlantic slave trade. And you've also gotten, this one wound me up a lot, I have to say, Prince William appointing the Queen of Woke, the former New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, to the board of his Earthshot Prize. So is the monarchy accidentally out-woking Harry and Meghan? Joining me now to discuss this, royal historian, our very own David Starkey. But David, look, I have to start off with your reaction to this compromise deal. Harry will be here, Meghan stays in California with the young prince and princess.
It must be the first time he's been apart from her forever, isn't it? Here is this poor man, you know, he's like a dog collar, trotting obediently behind her. But I think there's a bigger question. What on earth is Harry going to do in Westminster Abbey? And this shows again where I think the king has gone so badly wrong. He abolished the whole notion of doing homage apart from William. Now imagine if he kept that idea. For Harry to turn up, he would have to kneel down in the old days in front of his father, raise his hands up there and swear fealty. Now, wouldn't we all have enjoyed that?
I think I'd pay good money to see
I think that's right. And this shows why the king is so foolish, and I'm going to use that word, to have abandoned tradition.
Prince Harry attended King Charles's coronation alone. No Meghan, no kids, just Harry by himself. And of course David Starkey is calling it like it is. He says it straight. Harry looked like a dog on a leash, trotting obediently behind Meghan's orders. And honestly, that's exactly how it looked. Now, we all know Meghan didn't stay behind because she wanted to avoid drama. Please, Meghan loves drama. The only reason she stayed in California was because she knew she wouldn't be welcomed in the UK. She played it smart. Keep Harry in the game while she pulls the strings from the sidelines. Now let's be real, this was a test for Harry. Meghan was watching from Montecito, waiting to see if Harry would try to reclaim even a shred of independence. And guess what? He didn't. He flew in, sat quietly, and left as quickly as possible. No impact, no real engagement, just a sideshow.
But this is because he wants to appeal to the fans of Harry and Meghan. Would you just say that's futile?
I think it's...
You're never going to...
I think you're using very kind, long words. I'd say it's stupid.
Good, I like
what
that.
the king is doing is saying, I am going to appeal to people who don't like the monarchy. Now, this is mad. You know, when The Guardian or The New Statesman write a favourable article on the monarchy, you know it's through gritted teeth. These are people who would tear the crown from his head in 5 seconds, and what he's doing really is spitting in the face of those who are non-woke, who are fundamentally royalist. And it seems it's a bit like these radio stations that decide they don't like their audiences, you know, so they sack all their favourite presenters. They play music that their fan base hates, and you know what? They're then very surprised when their numbers decline.
Yeah, indeed, but for that same reason, though, I actually wanted King Charles personally to rip up Harry and Meghan's invitation. I mean, I don't think he should have invited them in the first place. I know a lot of people say that's ridiculous. He's the son. He's still in the line of succession. But I don't think he should have bent over backwards to have them.
Certainly, right. You used exactly the right word. But you see, I think, although we're making a big deal of it, I think Harry is a sideshow.
Now here's where things get really concerning. David Starkey goes off on King Charles's decision to scrap key royal traditions. And honestly, he's right to be mad. Folks, let's think about this for a second. If Charles had kept the old traditions, Harry would have had to kneel in front of his father, raise his hands and swear allegiance to the king. Can you imagine how powerful that moment would have been? The entire world would have watched Harry, the rebel prince, the one who betrayed his family, bowing before his father. But instead, Charles watered it down. He didn't want to offend modern audiences. Big mistake. This is what's so frustrating. The monarchy's strength comes from tradition. That's the whole point. You don't modernize something that's lasted over 1,000 years. You don't try to please people who hate you. But that's exactly what Charles is doing. He's desperate for approval from people who will never support him.
The fundamental...
Because Meghan's not there? Or just
No, just in general. I mean, he's way down the order of succession. It's simply that we insist in the media in talking about it.
So why does he need to be there then?
Pardon?
Why does he need to be there, given he seems to hate this institution?
That's right. But again, poor Harry is torn, Charles is torn. They are father and son. There is a residual fondness, there's a residual love, and so on. But each one of them now finds themselves in this extraordinary... It's like one of those one of those Spanish dances where you suddenly come together, then you come apart, and you strut. It's that sort of thing.
But if Meghan had been there, would she have been more than a sideshow? Would she have...
Well, she'd have tried to steal the show, because, of course, this was always the point.
And she was planning to. William was actually worried about that.
Yes, but you see, I think, again... This is misconceived. If, again, you would maintain the traditional structure of a coronation, there is no doubt who is in charge. I mean, the entire service is a magnificent series of processions, of movements, of anointing, of presentations, of objects and whatever. It focuses on one person and one other person, on the king and the queen.
And you think Charles
everybody
has tried
else.
To modernise it too?
I think that what Charles has done is to destroy the theatre and the purpose. So the two things have gone badly wrong, and they're both fundamental. He said, right, we're not going to have members of the House of Lords. If you think I'm so ancient, I remember the last coronation. And if you remember the last coronation, the House of Lords, they're a bit like the chorus in an opera. They're all there in scarlet and white. They're this magnificent backdrop to the theatre. Now what you're going to have is an abbey filled with Ngozi Fulani. And you're going to have a wallpaper of leopard skin print, rather like bar stools in Las Vegas. I mean, the total visual chaos, you'll destroy that. But there's something else. The king has not explained ever, and nobody's explained on his behalf, why the coronation matters. Instead, what we've happened is this ridiculous drip feed of little stories about this ivory rod, this jewel. In other words, it's an exercise of trivia.
Brilliant analogy right here. It's like a conservative talk radio station suddenly deciding to fire all their hosts and start playing left-wing propaganda. Guess what happens? The loyal audience leaves and the new audience never shows up. That's exactly what Charles is doing. He's pushing away royalists while failing to win over progressives. Here's the real problem. Charles isn't just modernizing the monarchy. He's actively insulting the people who love and respect it. I mean, come on. When even left-wing publications like The Guardian write something nice about the monarchy, they're just gritting their teeth. These people don't want a modernized monarchy. They want no monarchy at all. So why is Charles bending over backward for them? It's madness. And let's talk about Jacinda Ardern, the Queen of Woke herself. Charles and Prince William brought her on board for royal environmental projects. Why? This is the same woman who destroyed free speech in New Zealand, pushed radical policies, and aligned herself with anti-monarchist politicians. It's like inviting the fox into the henhouse. At the end of the day, the people who truly respect the monarchy, the traditionalists, conservatives, and loyalists, are being ignored. And if Charles keeps this up, he will lose their support.
Yeah, because I think they're scared of the reaction. They're always scared of the reaction. In fact, you raised Ngozi Fulani. That's why they reacted so fast, and they made the wrong decision.
They made the wrong decision.
And don't you also think that's why they made the wrong decision by immediately giving in to The Guardian over the royal reparations?
Well, it's deranged. There is no case. By the way, The Guardian has no case for reparations. The Guardian is founded, can you imagine? The Guardian is founded after the abolition of slavery, and yet it persuades itself it's somehow guilty for slavery. This is a kind of delusion of the mind. But of course, as applied to the monarchy, the problem is this. When people say, oh, we want to explore the links of the monarchy to slavery, that's not what they're really saying is, What they want to do is to destroy the historical legitimacy of the monarchy. The slave trade and Britain's Britain's real involvement in it is being used as a historical battering ram to destroy the historic... Monarchy is history or it's nothing. And I think the king does not realise this. This constant talk of modernisation, that is not what it's about.
And also the great thing is, in this country, right, the vast, vast majority of the population do not particularly want the royal family to modernise, are very happy with the traditional royal family, actually have been pretty happy.
In fact, you know,
with King Charles.
There's something, he began very well. There's something really remarkable. The scale of royal ceremony that we have now, do you know it was invented when democracy comes in? Before democracy, royal ceremony was... have you ever been at a ceremony at a university, at Oxford or Cambridge, where everything is sort of a bit casual because it's all between friends? It's once the royal family knew that it had to perform to a huge audience. This is what happens with at the beginning of the 20th century, when everything that we're going to see, or the bits of it that will survive, you construct a deliberate theatre for it. The front of Buckingham Palace is only put on in the summer of 1913. The Mall is only laid out as the monument to Queen Victoria. You deliberately construct it as a theatre to show off monarchy to the people.
Which is already modern enough. Thank you very much. And look, just to very quickly say, you're obviously going to be a big part of our coverage of the coronation here on GB News, and I believe some special projects coming from...
Well, we're actually making documentaries. First time GB News has made documentaries. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to say the coronation is just not a lot of mystical ritual. It's the fundamental compact between the king and his people. It's a contract, and it's the reason that we're governed well, governed properly, and that we are... Let's end on this word. You're an American, a royal republic, and the oldest and the best and the longest lived.
Now, I know we love to talk about Harry and Meghan's drama, but David Starkey makes a great point. Harry is not the real issue. The real problem is King Charles and his leadership. Let's be real. Harry and Meghan are fading into irrelevance. Their Netflix deals are failing, their popularity is dropping, and Hollywood is getting bored of them. Meanwhile, King Charles is actively damaging the monarchy by trying to cater to progressives who will never support him. That is the real crisis here. And folks, polls don't lie. The majority of royal supporters think Charles is making mistakes. And if he keeps going down this path, he risks weakening the entire institution. So where does this leave us? We have a king who is ignoring his strongest supporters to chase approval from people who will never respect him. We have Prince Harry still under Meghan's thumb, making no real impact. And we have a monarchy at risk of losing its foundation. At some point, Charles has to make a choice. Does he want to uphold the traditions that have kept the monarchy strong for centuries? Or does he want to keep watering it down until it becomes meaningless? Should King Charles stop modernizing the monarchy before it's too late? Let me know what you think.